Hello, and welcome to r/TalesFromRetail. The first story is from user Minx Mallow. I used to work in a home improvement shop and was stationed around the heaters and fire section. We had the modern electric types and conventional coal and wood burners. A customer came in asking for white coal, not traditional black coal, for his fire because he's seen them in the electric ones and thought they looked nicer. I explained that those were actually pebbles that were more for aesthetics and display purposes and didn't actually burn. He missed the point and said he'd take some of those then to put in his real fire. He got increasingly angry when I explained again that he couldn't do that. He then asked me to point him to the paint aisle, and I suspiciously asked what he was planning to paint. He said if I wouldn't sell him white coal, he would paint some black coal white instead. I of course warned him not to do that, as that could give off toxic fumes when he burnt them. He called me a stupid young girl and huffed away. A few minutes later, I see him approaching me again, but this time with my manager in tow, pointing at me and mouthing, "There she is. She wouldn't help me." I calmly explained to my manager what had happened, and he swiftly took the bag of coals and white gloss paint out of his basket that he'd unwittingly helped him track down. The customer then started ranting and raving about how we didn't want his custom and was escorted from the shop. I have no words for that. Maybe they should have just let him do what he wanted to do. The next story is from kid_spectre. Occasionally, you get that one customer experience that just absolutely stumps you. This is mine. I worked at a department store, specifically in the shoe department. It was a bit busy, but no one needed help at that time, so I kept busy by putting displays back into place. A customer asks me where the restrooms are, and I give them directions. My back is now turned to the display table. I feel someone tap me on my butt. It surprised the hell out of me. At first, I thought I had accidentally bumped into someone, not believing there was actually someone who had touched my butt in public. I turned around to find a little girl looking up at me. She has a look on her face, like she has something she wants to ask me, but is a little shy, so I kneeled down to come to her level. She cups her hands around my ear and asks me secretly, "Do you have glass slippers?" "No, I'm sorry, I don't have glass slippers," I whisper back to her. She ducks under the table and I lose sight of her. I laugh at myself for a bit. That was a very strange experience. A few minutes later, I feel the girl patting my butt again. Before I go down to kneel, she quickly points up. To my surprise, and what do you know? An all-clear plastic high heel, kind of like one of those stripper heels. But hey, it looked like a glass slipper. So I hand the shoes to her. She ducks under the table, and this time I see where she had gone. "Oh no, sweetie, Mama can't wear these things," she laughs at her daughter. Huh. They are like glass slippers, aren't they? Every day I saw those heels, I had to laugh. Well, that was a very wholesome post, wasn't it? It's nice to see those. You don't really see much of that in these Tales from Retail posts. But mind you, I usually watch TikToks instead of reading them, so they're usually more aggressive customers. The next post is by Pleasant_Shift. This happened a few weeks ago, but the events are still a little fresh and raw in my mind. I work in quite a smallish store in the UK that gets lots of traffic from mainly local residents. Being a key holder, I'm on the list of people to call when the alarm goes off. Normally, I miss most calls that come through to my phone due to some shady black spots where I live. But lo and behold, I get a call around 4:25 a.m. that my store's alarm is going off. They need a person there to ensure that there's nothing wrong. So I drag myself out of bed, throw on my work uniform, and I'm out the door in under 5 minutes. Whilst I'm on my way there, I'm on the phone to my girlfriend who's kind of worried with me. We're both pondering what it can be, and of course, you're always thinking the worst in your mind. Someone's broken in to steal something, and you're just trying to get there fast. I make it there after around 15 minutes of speed walking, and have a look around from outside first. Nobody's around. There's no signs that show anyone's forced their way inside. Then I make my way in, phoning the security company to be my second pair of eyes in the roof. I make it in and have a sweep around, making sure everything valuable is where it should be. Then I see the culprit. A bag of cheese balls just laying on the floor. I give my findings to the person over the phone with me and he promptly closes the call out. I then just decide to stay, talk over the phone with my girlfriend off clock with some tea before the start of my actual shift. I later showed the camera footage to one of my co-workers on site. When it fell off the shelf and woke up the store lights and set the alarm off, we both started laughing. Too long didn't read? A bag of cheese balls woke me up too early for work. I have to say that would frankly piss me off. I don't think I'd be able to handle that. I'd kind of want to know who stacked those cheese balls on that shelf. The next post is by a user, assumingly said Harlot_Quinn. I work at a liquor store and get all kinds of colourful characters. That's a lie. My store is located in the north part of my city, so we mainly cater to old ladies' wine groups. Anyways, this guy comes in and tries to buy a $10 bottle of beer. This dude never has enough when he comes in, and the first couple of times I'd throw in the extra bit he needed, but dude, you gotta have the money to pay for things. I was like, I need $4 more or I can't sell to you. This dude dead ass picks up my tip jar, dumps out the money in there and tries to give it to me as payment. I am flabbergasted. Not terribly exciting, but it happened a week ago and I still think about it on a daily basis. Haven't seen him since. Weird. The things people do for a bottle of beer, hey? The next post is by Cool Babe with Bad Grades. I used to work as a cashier at an electronics store a few years back, and for some reason this interaction popped into my mind, so I figured you all might enjoy it. Now just for reference, our store on weekends basically was a skeleton crew of 4 to 6 people, so oftentimes I had to deal with customer questions until one of the tech guys or my manager was free. This middle-aged man comes up to cash with this printer and tells me it has no price tag on the shelf. So I apologize and tell him I can scan it to check for him. He then makes everyone's favorite joke about how it has no price tag, so it's free. I've had this way too many times. I give him my customer service laugh and let him know it's about $400. Then he tells me that it's actually free because there is no price tag, and I explain to him that it doesn't actually work like that. He tells me that because we would change the price if it had the wrong price tag, that it having no price tag is equivalent to it having a price tag of $0, which means that we need to honor our policy and give it to him for free. So again, I tell him no, I can't give him a printer for free and instead offer him a coupon for $50 off that I had. Then he starts calling me an airhead or something like that and repeats everything, but in a much slower and louder tone, like I'm dense. So I call my manager who is busy with a customer. After a few minutes, my manager comes and more or less explains the same thing that I had just said. The customer looks shocked, tells us he's going to go to the police, calls me some degrading name, and storms off while shouting that he'll never shop here again. The following weekend, I cashed him out and would continue to see him in the store for the next few years I worked there. Our next story is by user I Shit Myself Daily. This guy came in and wanted a shirt and a pair of socks, but the shirt had a small, extremely washable stain on it, so we had to give him a 10% discount on that one item. I gave him the total and he told me several times that I didn't put in the discount, but the discount only took off $1, so he decided he didn't want the socks. After I handed him the receipt, he said he'd changed his mind and he did want the socks. So I had to go through the whole process again, ask for a phone number, blah blah blah. I handed him his change and shut the drawer, and he turned around and held out one of the dollar bills and didn't say anything. I asked him what was wrong and he said he didn't like the color of it because it was old and discolored. We have a max capacity of 10 in our store, and the line was full of 9 people wanting to check out, but this dude is standing there demanding I exchange the dollar for a greener one. Thankfully, my co-worker came out and traded him $1 from his own wallet, and dude left. But why do you need your $1 bill to be fresh from the presses? I mean, maybe he wanted to tip a stripper or something, I don't know. Our next story comes from user abject_deal7869. I've seen a lot of stupid things in my 40 plus years of customer service, but this one has to be the top 3 at worst. It was roughly 2005, and I was working the overnight shift at my local, largest convenience store chain in the world. The police dropped by to advise me that a competitor about a mile away had been robbed some 2 hours earlier, and the attendant pistol whipped perpetrators hit her with a handgun while robbing the place. I knew this attendant, maybe 5 foot on a good day and 105 pounds, soaking wet. There would not have been any need to treat her like that, so I was eager to help if possible. The police officer was able to give me a description of the persons of interest, including what they were wearing, and asked me to call if I saw anything that could help. Later that night, some 5 hours after the robbery, a car pulled up and a young man jumped out to use the payphone in front of the store. Remember, this was 2005. Payphones were still a thing then. Normally, I wouldn't have thought twice about it, except that the clothes this kid, 16 to 17 years old or so, was wearing matched the description of the clothing of one of the robbers. So I called police dispatch, advised them of what I had seen and the direction the car went when they exited the parking lot. Not 30 seconds later, a police car went flying by in the direction the suspect's car had gone. Full light bar going, but no siren, as it was about 3 a.m. I learned from the police later that morning that they caught up to the car about 4 blocks away from my store, and the occupants of the car were the robbers, How did they know? Not only did the robbers not stay at home and go into hiding, not only were they using the same car and wearing the same clothes, but they had the money from the robbery in plain sight in the front seat of the car. Like I said in the title, stupid robbers. I got a community service commendation from the police department, and the robbers got an all-expense-paid trip to the state prison for aggravated robbery and aggravated assault. Our next story comes from J.K. Lyon, 1998. Old thing, but this happened 2 years ago when I worked at this store. Woman comes in to return a vacuum cleaner. I asked her why she was returning it, and she said she didn't need it anymore and hasn't used it. I can clearly see that she taped the box herself. She tells me that there's no need for me to open it, because she's never opened nor used it. I told her I have to, and I ignore her and go back to open. I look inside and there was dust everywhere. The vacuum looks like it's been through hell and back. I look at her and she looks at me dead in the eye and says, "Well, I don't understand how that happened. Clearly I've never used it. Must have come like that when I bought it." I told her I'm not allowed to return it since it was a used item. Then she gets angry and shouting. She begins to throw a tantrum, yada yada yada. Manager comes in, I tell her what's up, and she tells the lady we can't return her vacuum because she used it. She still kept insisting that she's never opened the box and keeps telling us that it must have been like that when she bought it. Long story short, she left with her vacuum as she was screaming. I really don't understand how people can be so ignorant and arrogant and insane. It genuinely, stories like this genuinely make me wonder if people are just maybe unwell in the head somehow. To have the goal to do that, you have to be pretty special, I think. The next story comes from user Lestachi Poro. I hope I said that right. So one time, this older lady came to my register and everything was fine. I scanned everything for her order and gave her the total. One of her purchases was a dress of a famous Disney character, Moana. Then at the moment I duck/bend down to grab a bag from the drawer, she blew up on me. Why? She screamed and taught that I'm going to grab her dress, throw it on the floor and step on it to ruin it on purpose. I told her that no, I'm just grabbing a bag to put her purchase in. She didn't want that because the dress will get wrinkled. Suggestion 1. So I suggested a t-shirt box. We could fold it nicely and give it to her in the box. She said no because it wouldn't fit in her luggage. Suggestion 2. I asked if she wants it wrapped in plastic, nice and firm, and she can take it like that. She got mad at me because I thought that you guys are eco-friendly people / love animals, and refused this one as well. Suggestion 3. I suggested another thing that we usually use to protect fragile stuff. It has 2 portions. One, it's white paper, and the other, it's like carton, but it's cut in a fishnet-like pattern. So I gave an idea to wrap this like a treasure gift from the ocean, somewhat. She denied this one as well, since for her, it looked ugly. Suggestion 4. I asked when do they need the dress for? It was a week more or less before Halloween. She said she needed by the day after tomorrow, so shipping it wasn't an option either. Suggestion 5. I suggested she let me check if we have one brand new from the box in its original packaging in the bag, same size and all, but this triggered her off. Why? She said that I somehow knew that her granddaughter had asthma, and by giving her an item that could have dust on it, it's because I wanted to maliciously hurt / kill her. She went on a full tirade on me. Luckily, my manager and supervisor were witness to the whole ordeal. My supervisor intervened first and tried to cool the woman down. The woman went off on how disrespectful, insultive, rude, etc. I was, called me all kinds of names, and still my supervisor was trying to help, but no avail while the lady was getting more and more aggressive. Not even her husband, who was next to her the whole time, tried to calm her down and said, "Let's go, please. He did nothing wrong." He had the look of why. Please stop. Then, my manager stepped in, and she is the boss, with no mercy. She just grabbed a bag from another register, took the dress, shoved it into the bag, folded the top of the bag, stapled it shut, along with the receipt, and with a smile that says, "I'll kill you," and said, "Have a good day." The lady got mad and was about to blow up on my manager, but my manager shut her down by saying, "Leave now or security will be called." After that, the lady just grabbed her stuff and ran, following behind the tired, defeated husband. After she left, I was told to get a break to calm down / recover from this incident. But yeah, I survived this ordeal all over a shopping bag. I have to say I've never experienced anything like this working in retail myself, and I'm very thankful for that. This person's obviously some kind of god in disguise for being able to put up with this kind of stuff.